Both China and Russia has become two concerning powerful players of the world. Both of these countries have some powerful destructive weapons that already proved to be lethal for this world. Recently, China and Russia conducted the separate test of powerful missiles that proved their superior military strength. And these two tests could be intercepted as a direct message to US-led West, NATO, and the other Pacific allies. In this topic, I would like to tell you about what are the weapons that the Russia and the China has already tested and why the world should be concerning about these tests. Russia has actually tested nuclear capable missile called Sarmat, and why it is concerning not only for the NATO but also for the world, because after the Russian hypersonic missile, this is their newest heavyweight long range missile that was launched from a test silo in the western Russia. Its range is approximately 6,000 km before hitting the targets in Kamchatka on the other side of the country, that is the eastern side. Soon after the launch, the Russian President Vladimir Putin, in a televised address, said that the RS-28 Sarmat has no counterparts in the world, not even in the Europe, not in the US. So the West, especially Europe and the US, have to think twice before threatening Russia or targeting Russia. So this is a very concerning news for the world, because these two powers are nuclear powers. If they will going to hit each other by using these kind of devastating missile systems, then this will be the end of the world. And according to NATO, the RS-28 has another name. This is Satan 2. The Russian missile was announced in 2018 as of one of the 6 super weapons developed by Moscow. The 6 weapons, the other 5 are the Avangard hypersonic missile. The second one is Poseidon nuclear armed underwater unmanned vehicle. The third one is Bureshnik nuclear powered cruise missiles. The fourth one is Kinjal air launched hypersonic missiles, which is attached to the MiG-29. And the last one is Shirkon ship launched hypersonic missiles. These are the super weapons that Russia has developed, and these are the weapons are very, very dangerous. And hypersonic missile systems is not yet developed by the United States or any other European countries. This is only with Russia and the China. The Sarmat is an intercontinental ballistic missile. The missile has been underdeveloped for years and is intended to replace the Soviet era S-18 missiles. The missile of this kind were designed to fly across the world, and the missile can carry the multiple warheads. The Sarmat's long range estimated to be up to 35,000 km. That means it can hit any target on Earth. The Sarmat's long range cruise missiles around its intended targets, avoiding the radar and the missile defense systems while unpredictably smashing the target. The missile can carry up to the 15 nuclear warheads, each with limited maneuverability. It can carry the massive payload up to 10 tons. The Samrat payloads may be replaced with an undetermined number of Avangard hypersonic missiles. So the Samrat is kind of a double pain for the West. It is an ballistic missiles and it can carry the hypersonic weapons like Avangard. And this missile is almost undetectable due to the Sarmat's short range initial burn period. Due to its short initial burn period, the US network of heat detected satellites will have a harder time spotting its launch. Because of these abilities, it enhances the missile's surprising capability to strike its foes, and this capacity also increases the time to counter for any missile defense systems of the world. That means there are no missile defense system that can counter these missiles, not even the Russia's own S-400 and S-500 missile systems. Maybe S-500 can intercept. It can intercept. I am not talking about the S-500 over here because S-500 is not properly inducted yet. In response to the Russia's Sarmat ICBM test, the US flew the 2 RC-135H surveillance planes near the Russian eastern coast, probably to gather as much as data as possible from the Russian states. The US reportedly deployed 2 surveillance planes at the separate altitudes to better observing the Sarmat recently and the recent entry to test classified technology. That is the US concern. The Sarmat is the US concern. The Sarmat is an state-of-art weapon that the Russia has said that if the Europe will going to intervene in the Russia's matter, and they have to think twice because of this missile system. We have already discussed about the Russian missile systems. Now it is the time to discuss the Chinese new avatar YJ-21. I know the world is very much concerned about these two powers, and the world, especially the US and the West, are very much obsessed about this power, what kind of weapons they have, what kind of weapon they are testing. This is the news. This is in the news because it is an hypersonic missile launched from a powerful destroyer Type 055, Chinese made. This missile was demonstrated just one day before the Russian test their Sarmat missile systems. The YJ-21 is the part of the series of the Chinese missiles meant to be carrier killers. It is an ultra fast and has an unpredictable flight path. So it is very concerning. That means it can dodge any missile defense systems of the world. Beijing has its own issues with its own strategic problems. Their main adversaries are USA and India, and USA have important assets in Pacific. So to protect those assets, the America built the nuclear aircraft carrier. Most of them are deployed in and around the Pacific, especially the South China Sea. So to counter the carrier fleet, the China have to come up with something superior. And this time they have came up with the carrier killer YJ-21 hypersonic missile. If we have a good look on the YJ-21, then we will going to see that the YJ-21 resembles the CM-401 design with additional of a large booster phase. The CM-401 design is roughly analogous to the Iskander missile, although its diameter is only 600 mm. The YJ-21 resembles its power because it was fired from the world's most powerful cruiser destroyer warship Type 055. What makes that ship so powerful? Because the Type 346B IESA radar, which is similar to the AN/SPY-6, is installed on that ship, and that makes that ship very lethal. So according to the Chinese, the range of the missile is 1500 km. The missile is normally air launched from the bomber aircraft, but the Chinese made the ship variant too. I have to admit that the countries like China is very good in hiding the defense technology and the range of the missiles. So according to the expert belief, the skip glide flight pattern makes this missile's range at least 3000 km, which is equivalent to the 1800 mile. This implies that it flies virtually straight up in the beginning and then keeps off the atmosphere one or more times in re-entry, turning its downward momentum into the horizontal motion. So that is why this missile is very dangerous in its re-entry. In the re-entry, if it took its re-entry, then it is became impossible for the other nations which have the missile defense system. Their missile defense systems won't be able to protect their country from the strike of these missiles. These missiles is going to strike bullseye. So every country is developing this kind of missiles. India is developing, US has already developed, Russia is already developing, the Chinese are developing, the Europeans are developing, the US is also developing for the hypersonic missile. So every country in this world fearful of other. And from that fear that creates the arm race. The USA and its ally possesses the some weapons of mass destruction, so their enemies are now getting the hands on something which is precious and even better than theirs. The Europe is fearful because of the Russia's Ukraine invasion. The Pacific nations, especially the Japan and the Australia, are fearful due to the Chinese aggression. Recently, the Solomon Island incidents has proven that the Chinese are very aggressive to stand their foothold, to fix their foothold in the Pacific Oceans. So the world is getting uglier day by day. We are approaching towards the destructions, which is inevitable. I mean, it is unavoidable. We cannot avoid our own destructions. We will going to be destroyed by ourselves sooner or later. We are just waiting to die because of this kind of weapons. If this will going to misfire by anyone, any time on the earth, then the third world war will going to break out. Now our questions. First question is, India recently held a virtual maritime exercise called Exercise Shield with which countries? The first option is Sri Lanka and Maldives. Second option is Bangladesh and Maldives. Third option is Japan and Thailand. Fourth option is USA and Russia. The second question is which firm signed a deal with the Indian Air Force for the surface to air Akash missile? The first option is Bharat Dynamics Limited. Second option is Bharat Electronics Limited. Third option is L&T, which is Larsen and Toubro. The fourth option is Hindustan Aeronautical Limited. This is the end of the topic. If anyone want to ask me any questions regarding this topic or any other topic, please reach me through my email address, which is tuhin.power.academy@gmail.com. Thank you very much. Thank you for your support.